You can't trust
Can't
kids.
trust them.
Let them fight.
Why?
Because they deserve it. You can't trust them. And I had to explain to
Bernie Mac was the king of shameless humor, covering all topics. Obama chastised him for his uncensored humor at an Obama fundraiser a month before his untimely death at 50. He refused to lose his creative integrity, knowing it would be his last performance. Bernie Mac's blazing light was quenched. How? Is this an unexpected death, or will we reveal secrets from his last days? Explore Bernie Mac's terrible demise with us. Understand how Bernie got who he was before diving into the disclosures. Bernie Mac, a famous American comedian and actor, was born Bernard Jeffrey McCullough in Chicago, Illinois, on October 5, 1957. Bernie, the second child of Mary McCullough and Jeffrey Harrison, was raised modestly on Chicago's South Side. After his father left the family, his single mother and grandmother raised him in a close-knit family. He struggled financially. Bernie's upbringing was filled with love and happiness, despite adversity. When moving above a Baptist church when their old house was destroyed, faith and humor became everyday routines. Bernie used humor to cheer up his mother and delight the churchgoers with his impersonations as a youngster. Bernie's adolescence was marred by his mother's cancer diagnosis. He tried to comprehend, but his mother kept the specifics a secret until her death when Bernie was 16. In a touching letter, she showed her pleasure in him and predicted his success, soothing him in his sadness. Bernie's older brother and estranged father died suddenly after his mother's death. Despite his grief, he found comfort in comedy. Bernie used humor to cope with grief, including performing at funerals. Bernie attended Chicago Vocational High School before moving to Tampa, Florida, and graduating. Bernie's tenacity and humor helped him become one of the most beloved comedians of his time despite his devastating losses. Bernie Mac experienced tragedy at a young age, a father's abandonment, a mother's terrible illness-related death, and the continuous grind of hard work to make ends meet. Despite loss and suffering, optimism emerged. Will fate favor Bernie, or will his tenacity be tested again? Find out. Bernie Mac worked as a janitor, coach, professional mover, cook, bus driver, Wonder Bread delivery man, furniture mover, and UPS representative throughout his 20s and 30s. Despite his busy schedule, Bernie never lost his enthusiasm for stand-up comedy. On Chicago's public transit, he practiced his comedy impressions and quips for spare coin. Bernie's rise from the South Side of Chicago to Hollywood was a monument to his brilliance and persistence. He started stand-up comedy as a youngster by entertaining train passengers, and his cinematic career took off with a small appearance as a club doorman in Damon Wayans' 1992 comedy Mo Money. Bernie's career grew over time. In 1996, he performed in Spike Lee's movie Get on the Bus and became one of the original kings of comedy, a popular 2000 documentary about important black stand-up comedians. Bernie's sharp humor set him apart, closing performances. Bernie rose in the entertainment scene after the Kings of Comedy tour. The 1996 sitcom Moesha earned him praise, and in 2001 he debuted The Bernie Mac Show, his own show. He received critical acclaim and many award nominations for the Family Focus show. Bernie's film and TV careers thrived. Bernie's roles ranged from small-budget films like Mo Money and Who's the Man to critically lauded performances in Above the Rim and Friday. However, Ocean's 11 in 2001 secured his status as a cinematic star. His performance of blackjack dealer Frank Catton garnered praise from a Hollywood A-list cast. Bernie later made waves in cinema and television, appearing in Head of State with Chris Rock and Bad Santa with Billy Bob Thornton. Despite his 2008 death, Bernie Mac remains a comedic and entertainment pioneer. Bernie spent years refining his gags as a young Chicago comic, making 1977 a pivotal year. Bernie joined the tough Chicago Comedy Club circuit that year. Bernie trained in the city's active and difficult comedy scene. His keen humor and fascinating storytelling from his personal experiences won him a dedicated audience. Bernie's candor resonated with audiences. People admired his honesty, rawness, and fearlessness. His distinctive vocabulary and speech made him humorous and personable. He practiced comedy for years. Veteran black comedians Red Fox and Slappy White invited Bernie to perform in Las Vegas after seeing his flair. After winning Chicago's greatest comedy competition, the Miller Lite Comedy Search, Bernie's comic career took off in 1989. This boosted his fame. Bernie's bold, humorous antics impressed the judges. Straightforward humor became his specialty. Bernie had a major break in the early 1990s when he appeared on HBO's The Comedy Jam. This show helped numerous African-American comedians launch their careers. After Martin Lawrence failed to calm an increasingly hostile crowd, Bernie went on stage and said, "I ain't scared of you motherfuckers, and didn't come here for no foolishness." This phrase was popular and displayed his strong comedy. Bernie Mac was influenced by the Three Stooges and Richard Pryor and Red Fox. Bernie started performing stand-up at Chicago's Cotton Club. After winning the Miller Lite Comedy Search at 32, his comedy career took off. His 1992 performance on HBO's Def Comedy Jam 3 made him famous. Bernie opened for Natalie Cole, Red Fox, and Dionne Warwick. In 1994's House Party 3, he played Uncle Vester briefly. He had a brief HBO discussion program, Midnight Mac. Bernie played Mr. Johnson, a no-nonsense grill and diner proprietor, in Baps and Pastor Clever in Ice Cube's 1995 film Friday. Bernie then played the titular role in the 1995 Apollo production of The Wiz. The Players Club 1998 was Bernie's debut film performance as Dollar Bill, a slick club owner. Bernie broke from the black comedy genre by appearing in the 2001 adaptation of Ocean's 11 and as Bosley in Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle. Bernie Mac's breakthrough came following Spike Lee's 2000 film, The Original Kings of Comedy's popularity. Bernie Mac performed with Steve Harvey, D.L. Hewley, and Cedric the Entertainer. Bernie became famous after the $38 million film. Bernie's performance was notable. He was lauded for his charisma and straight-talking family anecdotes. His presentation was humorous and moving, demonstrating his ability to convert personal experiences into comedy. Fox offered Bernie Mac his own series in 2001, building on his Kings of Comedy stardom. Bernie Mac, a stand-up comedian, was unexpectedly responsible for his sister's kids in The Bernie Mac Show. It was Fox's most popular sitcom for 5 seasons and won an Emmy. Bernie was famous by 2006 when it ended. His momentum helped him win significant Hollywood film roles around this period. He proved his versatility by appearing in Ocean's 11, Charlie's Angels, Bad Santa, and Transformers. Bernie's humor, charisma, and improvisation made him an outstanding lead actor in TV sitcoms and feature films. Bernie Mac became one of the most popular African-American comedians. Despite his success, he worked hard on his endeavors. Bernie continued performing live despite his TV and film roles. Most of the year he toured. After growing up poor, he never took his accomplishments for granted. He felt compelled to push his physique to please his admirers. After several successes, Bernie's career appeared unstoppable. Bernie's body betrayed him, ending his career tragically. At the CBS Late Show on March 19, 2007, Mac announced his retirement from his 3-decade career to David Letterman. After finishing The Whole Truth, Nothing But the Truth, So Help Me. Mac told Letterman, "I'm going to still do my producing, my films, but I want to enjoy my life a little bit," lamenting his missed moments, recalling his humble beginnings as a street performer, and recounting the grueling schedule that kept him on the road for the B. Bernie's health issues affected his life. Although he drank lightly and avoided other substances, his lungs suffered from sarcoidosis, an inflammatory disease since his mid-20s. Bernie's comedy was hampered by its insidiousness and hereditary tendency. Sarcoidosis, an inflammatory lung disease, drained his energy and made breathing difficult. Bernie kept going despite the diagnosis, helped by corticosteroids' anti-inflammatory effects. However, this therapeutic alliance caused facial changes and immunocompromised him, making him prone to infections. Bernie kept working, joking about medical trips while privately struggling with his health. In 2007, Bernie, confronting his death, decided to retire, which sadly failed. sarcoidosis fluctuated between remission and recurrence, providing brief relief before exploding. After years of disease, Bernie's body collapsed as pneumonia attacked his lungs in July 2008. Though optimistic, Bernie's health gradually deteriorated, leading to a terrible fight for air. Bernie's pneumonia fight in the ICU was terrifying. Secondary pneumonia worsened his already damaged system. Bernie motioned toward the ventilator in a moment of clarity, pleading for its release. But his battered and weakened physique could no longer endure the attack. Bernie shrugged in despair as he looked into his loving wife's eyes on the brink of eternity. Bernie Mac died in the early hours of August 9, 2008, leaving a hilarious gap. His death sent a message of life's fragility and laughter's transience worldwide. During this time, Mac's film career rose with important parts that showed his versatility. He voiced Zuba, Alex the Lion's father, in Madagascar: Escape to Africa, after his popularity in Transformers as the seductive car salesman Bobby Bolivia. Mac appeared opposite Samuel L. Jackson in the 2008 musical comedy Soul Men, which was well received. Both Madagascar: Escape to Africa and Soul Men were released posthumously, emphasizing Mac's legacy. He last appeared in 2009's Old Dogs as Jimmy Lunchbox. This tragic summation of Mac's cinematic legacy was released a year after his death, proving his brilliance and impact in entertainment. Bernie Mac was one of the most respected African-American comedians due to his unique stand-up style and personable attitude. After the stage, he had a lasting legacy with major parts in Hollywood blockbusters and his own TV program. Bernie Mac embodied individualism and determination, sticking firm till the end. The sudden death of a healthy 50-year-old from pneumonia raised conjecture. Some ideas even blamed Hollywood's evil purposes on Bernie's refusal to comply. Bernie was a comedian, actor, producer, author, philanthropist, husband, father, grandpa, and friend with a big heart and contagious laugh. His statements rang true after his August 9, 2008 departure. "I don't want to be no star because stars fall. I do what I do, and I rise." At Bernie's public memorial at the House of Hope Church, hundreds showed their love and respect. Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, Ashton Kutcher, and The Bernie Mac Show, an original Kings of Comedy cast, remembered him. Bernie's posthumous films, Soul Men and Madagascar: Escape to Africa, were touching tributes. His final feature, Old Dogs, continued his cinematic legacy a year later. Even Chicago's Bud Billiken Parade honors Bernie. Celebrating Bernie Mac's efforts survived his death. In 2017, Rolling Stone named him 41st Best Stand-Up Comedian. Despite challenges at Obama's event, his comedy remained sincere. Bernie's death was not a crime, despite initial concern. Bernie's lengthy fight with sarcoidosis, which killed him, was revealed when his wife's medical negligence case against his doctor was dismissed. Bernie's career strained his health, yet he persevered. Bernie Mac's comic legacy is creativity and boldness. His candor about sarcoidosis motivated many to seek treatment. The Bernie Mac Foundation, dedicated to continuing the philanthropic vision of Bernie Mac and his wife, Rhonda R. McCullough, organizes impactful initiatives to raise awareness and fund research for sarcoidosis by targeting individuals and families in underserved communities to bridge the gap between medical professionals and patients. Through these activities, we want to console and help people with this severe condition. Bernie Mac died, but his humor and life affected others. He was a pioneer, mentor, and friend, not just a comic. Bernie Mac's impact lives on in his fans and the many he influenced. Bernie Mac's life was a tapestry of personal and professional success. He wrote, "I Ain't Scared of You, Bernie Mac on How Life Is" in 2001 and Maybe You Never Cry Again in 2003, which illuminated his life outside of Hollywood. The latter exhaustively described Mac's poor roots, poverty-stricken upbringing, strict childhood guidance, and mother's steadfast faith. At 19, Bernie married his high school girlfriend, Rhonda Gore, in spring 1977, forming a marriage that would withstand life and fame. Rhonda was Bernie's rock during his turbulent early career. Their love produced Janice, a daughter who brought joy and duty. Bernie and Rhonda fell in love in Chicago Vocational High School and married in 1977 after 2 years of dating. Rhonda clearly recalls Bernie's prophetic comments, picturing a future beyond their humble origins. "You're going to be rich, girl," Bernie said, demonstrating his persistent drive and resolve. Rhonda followed his goal, enduring hardships and achievements. Rhonda comforted Bernie through life's ups and downs throughout stardom. The birth of Janice strengthened their relationship, making them stronger to endure any storm. In August 2008, 31 years after their marriage, Rhonda stood at Bernie's bedside, whispering her pleas in the hospital's mournful quiet. Rhonda recalls their love's birth amid difficulty before fame's glare through sadness. Their love was uncomplicated and rooted in home and family, unaffected by celebrity. Bernie's popularity may have soared, but his heart stayed in Chicago's neighborhoods, where life's rhythms soothed him. Bernie was a joyful husband and father, and his laughter filled their house with joy. Despite his humor, he was very protective of Janice, whose musical tastes matched his. His depiction of Percy Jones in Guess Who showed his unshakable commitment to his daughter. Bernie loved spending time with his granddaughter Jasmine in his later years. Though he died, his legacy gives sarcoidosis sufferers hope. Bernie's dedication to helping individuals with the condition was reflected in the Bernie Mac Foundation, founded in 2007. Rhonda praises the advances in sarcoidosis research and diagnosis over the past decade, a monument to Bernie's legacy. Though loss is still painful, Rhonda finds comfort in knowing Bernie's soul will guide future generations. As leader of the Bernie Mac Foundation, Rhonda strives to honor Bernie's memory and ensure his legacy of compassion and activism lives on. Rhonda gave invaluable assistance to Bernie as he died, chatting to him. She begged him, please don't die. I'm here, I'm waiting for you. I'll take care of you. Just don't die." Rhonda helped Bernie succeed early on, and 30 years later, she died at his side. Bernie was funny and protective as a parent, she remembered. She also highlighted their 18-month-old granddaughter Jasmine, who died when Bernie did. Besides leading Bernie's organization, Rhonda emphasized its effect on sarcoidosis research and fundraising. Due to Bernie Mac's health issues, Fox canceled The Bernie Mac Show after 104 episodes after a strong 5-season run. In Bernie's Angels, the series finale, Bernie is traumatized by an electrical shock. After recovering, he helps his nieces and nephew, Jordan and Brianna, become independent. Vanessa, his daughter, prefers limited Bernie involvement in higher education selections. Jordan abuses Bernie's kindness until Bernie confronts him by returning an iPod he bought for him. Vanessa reconciles with Bernie and writes an article praising Bernie as her greatest influence. Bernie says goodbye to the audience and promises to help and educate the youngsters as long as they need him at the finale's heartbreaking conclusion. Bernie Mac's surprising visit at Barack Obama's presidential fundraiser made headlines off-screen. Mac, known for his outspoken humor, made colorful remarks on presidential problems, including mocking the possibility of a black first lady. Obama met Mac warmly and tried to ease tension despite his controversial statements. Obama sought to settle things 15 minutes later with a joke. "We can't afford racial division. We can't afford to be separated by geography, class, or gender, which means, Bernie, you need to clean up your act next time," Obama remarked. "This is family. I'm joking, man." Mac's statements weren't always well received. In response to criticism for his disrespectful statements regarding women during the event, the campaign issued a statement. Cedric the Entertainer addressed gossip about Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey's friction on the Original Kings of Comedy tour. Cedric confirmed their dispute, citing their strong personalities. Though the conflict prevented the group from touring again, Cedric said they were able to resolve it. Bernie Mac accused Steve Harvey of jealousy and sabotage in a 2003 GQ interview. Cedric said, "That was definitely a contributing circumstance, but I also think it had a lot to do with the promoter because he had a bigger head than us. The guy who gathered us began to think about himself. It started like that. It has many of those elements." In a 2010 interview, Steve admitted that Mac's statements affected him. I was upset because it wasn't true. Bernie and I had a lot of fun, but then GQ published this terrible story. B stated he never said, so I trusted him. Steve said he had reconciled with Bernie Mac after his death. Harvey regretted the misunderstandings and enjoyed their time together. Thanks for watching. Click the link on your screen to see another intriguing video. See you thereafter.